Human enlightenment, the driving factor of our evolution that helps us understand the very universe around us. It's the voice inside our minds that asks the most important questions of our existence. How did the universe begin? What is the meaning of life? Is there a God? And now, today, the curious minds of we, the human travelers across the expanse of consciousness, ask an equally important question. The question of our age. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Well, today is the day where we, four heroes of might and magic, brave the perils of the internet in order to definitively answer that question once and for all. Welcome to the party, pal. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? This week on Nothing Good.
Well, once again, a hell of an intro. First of all, before I even go beyond that, can I just take a second? Listen, man, this is me clapping to an absolute amazing intro yet again by one Mr. Noah Brown. Thank you so much for that. I don't know where you come up with this, but it's excellent every single week, and it's truly a challenge me to not laugh every single fucking time you do it.
Like, I now understand what Ant-Man felt like when Captain America gave his fucking speech before they went back in time in Endgame. Like, I'm ready to go through the existential void with you, Noah, after that one.
We're about to, my friend.
Yeah, I feel like that's the peak of the episode, and it's all going to go to shit from here.
Well, gentlemen, welcome.
Yeah, here we are, gents. So we are, once again, myself, Doc, Mr. Brown, Mr. Mac himself, and would you like to be called Jeff or Jafar? I feel really, really, really mean calling you Jafar, and I've never called you that. I don't think I ever will.
You can call me either or. You can call me Jeff. You can call me Jafar. I go by both. Whatever you want to do. I'm here for you. For your pleasure, Joe.
Good.
He's just our pleasure.
Just don't call him Hans Gruber, Bubby.
Oh, man. Oh my God. So today we are going to talk about a movie that is a part of pop culture in a very specific way. We're going to talk about Die Hard, but normally what we do is we dissect Die Hard, a movie in particular like Die Hard, and talk about the different story beats and blah, blah, blah. We're not going to do that. We're going to talk about the immortal question, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
That is it. That is why we're here.
Before we do that, how are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. It's Christmas. Right. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Can you guys believe that?
It is almost Christmas. It's about to be Christmas. Yeah.
Just a few days, man.
Yeah.
Rounding the corner here.
Spider-Man is out. We're not going to spoil it for everybody.
No.
I mean, we could.
We could.
I'm
just really surprised that Marvel took the risk and went with all those tentacles in that one scene. You know, I didn't realize just how many tentacles could fit inside. I'm not gonna go who had all the tentacles inside.
How many can fit in the Maguire?
Could be. You know, I was gonna say how many tentacles could fit in Aunt May, but I would pay good money to ask that question. Not about Spider-Man as well.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, depending on which Aunt May you're talking about.
Also important.
Who cares? Right? Sally Field. Fuck Sally Field. She knows what she's doing.
I did get to spend an entire day working with Aunt May on a film within the last few years. So, the tentacles are real, gentlemen.
Oh,
right. Tentacle envy.
Tentacle envy.
Is it too early? Are we too close to Christmas, Noah, to discuss tentacle rape, or is that just something that's
a subject for down the line?
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are.
I don't know. I there's very few rules that we have on this podcast, and I want to say that tentacles are fair game, but rape jokes aren't. So
we usually stay away from that around here.
So I think
that's a good call.
I think until the time comes that one of us actually experiences that, and then wants to share their very serious story on the internet, we should stay away from that. I think probably for the best. So, welcome to the new users, to the new listeners who are here to answer the Die Hard question, and now have to worry if they've made the wrong choice. Now that
if they listen, I know they're not new listeners, but if they tuned in at all last week, they already got a full description of chemical castration. So I just kind of feel like we're
and cut play,
and now available in the archives. Chemical castration.
Yeah. So just kind of bringing that out. Just chemical castration is also a way to describe the box office of Nightmare Alley, because somebody thought it was a good idea to release a movie at the same time Spider-Man was coming out.
Yeah,
that's what they're gonna do. See the Matrix too, right? Yeah. Not. How do you make millions of people not care about a Keanu Reeves movie? But anyway, we're here now not to talk about films coming out at Christmas today, but a film that came out definitely over 30 years ago. It is the immortal Die Hard. And today we're going to ask the very specific question, discuss it, and then we're not leaving here until we have a concrete answer. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? So before we ask this question and get into it, it is customary here on the podcast to ask, gentlemen, what are you drinking? Doc, lead us off.
I want to just apologize ahead of time. Actually, fuck that. I'm not apologizing for shit. I do what I want. I'm drinking coffee. Yeah. I am not in any mood to have any alcoholic beverage in my stomach. I don't feel 100% awesome. So I feel like if I drink booze, I'm just going to start tapering off and falling asleep mid-show. So coffee, so I can stay focused on what we're doing, is the drink of choice tonight.
Well, what type of coffee? Are you dark roast, medium roast?
It's a coffee called King's Coast Coffee. And it's I grind it myself and brew it every morning. I can't remember the actual name. It's just like a morning blend. I like light coffee. The lighter it is, the higher the caffeine levels. So I need that. Dark roast doesn't have as much caffeine in it.
No, bold flavor, but you lose the caffeine in it for sure.
And why the fuck am I drinking coffee if I don't want caffeine? Like, that's the whole point. That's what I'm drinking. What about you guys?
I don't drink coffee, so I have really no idea what you guys are talking about. I understand roasts and caffeine and everything, but it means absolutely nothing to me. So I always find it interesting when people have conversation about coffee, because I literally have zero things that I can contribute to the conversation. I'm like, yeah, I walk by a coffee shop and I can smell coffee.
Yeah,
that's basically
basically 2 E's and 2 F's, right? Yeah, coffee, classic.
Some cafe. as I read it. I'm going to let Jeff go ahead and discuss what he's drinking.
Okay, I am drinking a Delirium Noel. It's a classic German Christmas beer. I was hoping to share with everyone because it's Christmas, but I didn't see everybody. I only saw Mac yesterday, so he is drinking the same thing I am drinking.
Very nice.
Only difference is
one of my favorite breweries ever.
I'm drinking mine out of a Yukon Cornelius Christmas glass because I'm classy and seasonal.
That's nice.
Because I'm seasonal.
I'm drinking
some
mine.
People have seasonal depression. But we get seasonal Vandegrift.
Yeah, I'm a seasonal drinker. So
I'm drinking mine out of a paper bag, with wrapped around the bottle. Because I'm in that mood for the holiday season, ladies and gentlemen. That's where I am this Christmas. Jeff knows he was with me last evening when I got probably drunker than I probably should have.
Facts
on a lot of vodka last night.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'm just keeping that train rolling right through the holidays. check in with me on January 2nd, everybody. We'll see if I still have pants. I don't even.
What are you drinking?
I am also drinking seasonally. I am having a Mad Elf, going elfish and going heavy. So it is a fun holiday ale with hints of cherries and honey. at local grocery stores here in Pittsburgh, a particular chain at Giant Eagle, they literally make a wall of Mad Elf that you have to it's like a Christmas tradition. Sometimes around Thanksgiving they build the wall and you have to start chipping it down, and then sometime between the last week of Christmas and the New Year there's only a few scattered 6-packs throughout the store, letting you know that everybody in southwestern Pennsylvania has a drinking problem.
Oh my God, do we ever?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way.
But hey, we're all in it together.
That's it's the only way we can deal with the demons between January and March, when it's cold.
Oh my God,
it's gray and it's dark, and it's gonna last you the rest of your life.
Beautiful. We'll talk about that line more when we get to February, I'm sure. But let's talk about today's show. Now, I want to ask everyone, before you watch the movie, with the all-important question in your mind. I'm sure we all had, at least, if not a concrete idea about it, at least an idea. So I'm going to want to go around and ask, before you started reviewing it with this question in mind today, did you think that Die Hard was a Christmas movie? I'm going to lead it off in saying, yes, I did. Jones.
Well, as I stated last episode, we kind of briefly talked about this. Having not seen the movie since, I'm pretty sure, somewhere in the mid-90s, which is a long-ass time, I had really nothing in my head. In the mid-90s, I, as a kid, didn't go, oh man, that's a hell of a Christmas movie. And I feel confident most of my friends fucking didn't either. But, so I have had, rather, no feeling about one way or the other, which was really cool for me, because I was really excited to... I watched the movie twice, by the way.
Nice.
Don't recommend it doing it like back to back like that. But no, I didn't have a feeling about it one way or the other, to be totally honest. I just was like, all right, we'll see if it's a Christmas movie.
Okay. Vandegrift.
I did think it was a Christmas movie. And maybe it was because of all the conversation over the years and all the social influences that make you think that way. But going into the movie, watching it again recently, I watched it objectively for the purpose of the arguments that we are bound to have over the next hour or two or three or four.
Right.
Mac.
I have been on this train like the friggin' Snowpiercer. Just circling the globe for years on this one, everybody. Looking for hope that Die Hard has been, and always will be the Bret Hart of Christmas movies. So my impressions before my rewatch has always been that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
All right.
And that's where I'm gonna leave that thought for right now, because I don't want to jump. I don't want to premature my Christmas cheer all over the audience right now. Right? I need to slow my roll a little bit.
You have to. You have to take a second. Act like you're like you got a knot in your stomach.
I'm gonna start thinking about like Andrew McCutcheon's batting average from 2011 to 2017, year by year. Just
my secret is to think about X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then I feel no joy and no pleasure.
I'd be afraid to get angry.
I mean, work for you in a certain circumstance. You know what I mean?
Can I leave us off with a question?
Please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is something, while I was watching the first time, I couldn't help but I continuously kept thinking this to myself about you guys specifically, people in general, but you guys specifically. Because, like I said, as a kid, I think I'd seen this movie before I rewatched it recently. I think I'd probably seen this movie maybe 2 or 3 times maximum, and I'm not sure it's that many.
That's times. A small number.
So, like
compared to the masses.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine movie. It just was never a thing that like I went on my way to watch as a kid. There's like better action movies, in my opinion, that existed back then, honestly. But I kept thinking to myself, I wonder, because I didn't come up going, oh man, that's a hell of a Christmas movie as a kid or as a preteen or teenager rather.
I felt the same way about a Christmas Story.
When did either of you, any of you, like seriously, like no fucking joke, when did any of you when did you guys start thinking that it was? Like, I refuse to believe it was like 1990, like fucking 8 years old or whatever, and you go, man, that's a hell of a Christmas movie. I doubt that. When did that become a part of your way of thinking?
Yeah, for me,
I can't answer that question.
Yeah, for me, so it came out in '88, and I was 6 years old or 7 years old, whatever. So when I was little, I don't think I ever thought of it as a Christmas movie. I was like, oh man, he says fuck a lot, which I can relate to that.
Right.
As a 6-year-old, that's great.
I think as a teenager, I started watching it more around the holidays. So I just associated it with that. And that's when I started thinking in that direction.
Go ahead, Noah.
No, okay. I'm sorry to jump on you there, sir.
No, you're good.
I see. I'm one of those watch it frequently all the time, mostly because I like Alan Rickman as the heel in this movie, even before I really knew what I liked about this movie, and it was fun. So I watched it all the time as a kid on Laserdisc. That's how many times I saw this damn movie. And sometime in the early days of my adulthood, pre-Facebook, is the first time I ever had the conversation. And I distinctly remember the conversation, not with anybody that we would know, but when someone's like, what about Die Hard? Is that a Christmas movie? And I just instinctually shouted yes in this person's face. And I think it was more of a defense of the film that I enjoyed a lot. And then I felt like I kind of justify it in my brain after repeating it enough times to, it's a Christmas movie, and here we are multiple decades later. And before viewing this, as scientifically as I tried to, it was an emotional response. Yeah, Die Hard's fucking kick-ass. And yeah, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Fuck you if you don't think anything but positivity about Die Hard. And by extension, Run DMC. Mac.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that one bit because fucking Christmas in Hollis, absolutely. So I wrote a paper on this in college. that was where this shit came from for me. Is that one of my teachers in film school, as a part of our, I think it was film 101. We had to 4 or 5 times throughout the semester pick a movie and write anything we wanted to write about the movie critically. Take one aspect of filmmaking about that film that you enjoy and talk about why it was effective. Mm-hmm. And I chose for one of my papers, Die Hard being a Christmas movie. And I had always, it's kind of, it's to go a little bit Leia in Return to the Jedi's, on this one in Return to the Jedi. I've known, somehow I've always known that Die Hard was my twin. Even though I made out with the 2 movies in about 3 space years earlier. But my mind's going a whole bunch of places because then I went to like Deadpool and he's like, no, I'm pretty sure Luke nailed her. She's like, no, baby, that was Empire. But yeah, like I've always kind of had that idea about this being this really offbeat Christmas movie, and then I had to fucking prove it. So, and I've kind of always held that whole idea is that Christmas Vacation is my second favorite Christmas movie of all time because Die Hard is my favorite. So yeah, it's I've been on this one for a long time.
So when is the earliest point you remember feeling that way though? Like, is it like teenage, early, like young?
Yeah. I think it was like late, 19, 20, 21, getting out into the world, starting to kind of like form my own identity, starting to form my own Christmas traditions. And, I will make no qualms, listeners, of nothing good.
Simple, sweet Peruvian listener.
Yeah. Hola. Feliz Navidad, Peru.
Feliz Navidad, Peru, yes.
But, I started forming my own Christmas traditions. And usually it was going to watch Christmas Vacation on Christmas Eve after spending time with family, grab some cookies, grab some cinnamon roasted almonds, grab a beer, sit down at midnight on my own, put in Christmas Vacation. But I did that because on Christmas Day, I would go ahead and pop in fucking John McClane to bring me home. And it's probably around that time that I started to really associate the movie with Christmas. And that's where I'll stop because, again, I don't want to get into the conversation preemptively. Andrew McCutcheon hit 323 in 2014, runner-up. Okay, all right, we're good. I'm
good.
Back down.
Bring yourself back down.
Bring
cool
it back.
it off.
Bring
Cool
it
it
back.
off.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could talk about elements of the film that listen. Listen. I'm all for hyperbole and getting as many cum and dick jokes in as I can in the time that anyone will allow us to do it. But this episode feels important, guys. This is an episode that we have been tasked, nay, destined to solve today. So instead of beating around the bush for God knows how long, getting sidetracked, arguing about Bad Boys 2 or that one time, or telling the story of my second direction ever, and getting into that whole thing, I'm going to ask you now.
Thank you, Tom Selleck.
Let's get some results. Having watched the movie and asked the question, Jafar, lead us off. Jafar, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Jones, look at it. Look at it.
Jones, you pulled it out, whipped it out for us.
That's
nice.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Fellow listeners, Jafar just held up a dry erase board with his answer, yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers.
Oh, man, that's committing to that. Yes. I respect that. Matt.
Well,
it's your moment.
Noah.
Yes.
Bobby.
Baby.
I mean, hold on. Let me get a couple.
Show
bumps
him the
here.
watch.
Getting a couple bumps here. Show him the watch, right? It absolutely is a Christmas movie.
All right,
Doc.
I think that it is just, and I'm talking, motherfucker, I am talking just barely passable as something that would be considered a Christmas movie.
That's a yes.
Barely.
That's a yes.
And I will state that because you got to ask the question honestly. Can this movie exist within any other holiday? Yep. Can this movie exist without Christmas at all and the story still stand up and be just as good? Yep. So by that, to me, it really isn't much of a Christmas movie. But according to both the director and the writer, it was in fact supposed to be a Christmas film. So by virtue of that, it's an awful Christmas film, but it's still one.
Now, I'm gonna absolutely say that is a yes for our listeners. Listen, if you put just the tip in, you still put it in. Okay.
Well, listen, I want to make this perfectly clear, very clear. This for me was never a matter of I wanted to not be. I could care less. The movie's not that awesome, but the point was, and I said it. The point is and was.
Fuck.
Yeah, seriously, this movie's way too long. Let's be real, but
no,
it is, dude. It really is. There's over 2 hours long. This shit is like too long.
It should have been longer.
No,
there should have been 40 more minutes of him walking on glass.
I should not like in the third act start trailing off, looking at my phone because the shit's just going and going and going. But regardless,
he was upstairs doing nothing for a long time. Fucking detonators.
You got to keep those detonators out of the terrorist hands.
Nah, son. Look, but I don't want to make my little what I'm saying long. I just want to just make it very clear that I don't think this is nearly as important as you guys apparently think it is. But again, due to the fact that the director specifically stated in print that was the point. That's why the movie exists in the way it is, and the themes are presented. Well, yeah, it's a Christmas movie, but it's a shitty one.
Yes, and I don't want to step on anything, especially what I'm about to say. But there are a few Christmas movies, and there's some controversial thoughts that could take place other times of the year, other than Christmas, and still just be impactful. And I'll bring up two important ones. Home Alone could take place
It's not a Christmas movie.
That could take place on any vacation that they left him home at. Yeah.
And It's a Wonderful Life could also take place not around Christmas, because the movie's not essentially based around Christmas. It's about this man's life and the choices he make. And if it happened during the 4th of July, it wouldn't have the imagery, and the angel gets his wings. It'd be like a Vietnam vet gets his legs, right?
Wow, that's a way to look at it.
Yes. Yeah, but it could be. So that's two.
That's why Lieutenant Dan was standing in force.
There it is.
It's all clear now.
Now, gentlemen, in order to answer, I have to go on a long-winded rant here. But I assure you, if you bear with me, this will provide an emotionless response to this question. Because when I began this task here, I was fully prepared to answer this question one way or the other and live up to the results. So in order to answer this most pressing question, I decided to turn to the one thing that tells no lies and knows no bias, and that's data. The undeniable, reliable, that cold, mean bitch data. To truly determine whether Die Hard is in fact a Christmas movie, I needed to determine value points. And it's assigned those to key factors, one that makes a Christmas movie, well, a fucking Christmas movie. And to do this, I first started with two films. One of them is an undeniable Christmas film in every aspect and sense of the word, Miracle on 34th Street. And the next, I needed a film that is, while universally accepted as a Christmas movie, is unconventional and could be described as a middle-of-the-road Christmas movie, Elf. So using these two films as a point of reference, I established a point system, one that attributes values to characters, plot points, musical score, etc. I did this and came up with a scoring system, and in order to get me one step closer to a minimum point value on my scale, at which point when a film crosses it or achieves it, it is undeniably a Christmas movie. So in order to do this, I made the scale out of a possible 100 points. Working backwards from this, in order to keep it simple and to stop my brain and the entire Peruvian brains from exploding.
It does sound simple.
It is simple. Trust me. Here we go. 100 points. And here is the assigned following point values for Christmas movies. Does the film feature the actual Santa Claus, a real Santa? You get 25 points for that. Does the film's central plot evolve around activities set on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, i.e. film set at Christmas? You get 15 points for that. Does the film in any way attempt to make a statement about the meaning of Christmas and or to achieve the perfect Christmas? 15 points for that. And in reviewing other films, I did allow other subplot points, such as being together with family for the holidays, where it's not about the gifts we buy, it's the love we share. Some poor shit, anti-commercialism bullshit like that.
Or the Eastern Europeans you throw off a rooftop.
Yes, could be. We'll get to that. Is there at least one character dressed as a Santa, a.k.a. what I called in my brain, the mall Santa rule? If there is, it's worth 10 points. Does this film make a specific attempt to feature Christmas music, either traditional or contemporary? This can include scenes where characters sing carols, or there's a montage set to a Christmas song. That's worth 10 points. Is there an exchange of gifts or a significant plot point about the perfect gift? 5 points. Is there a sleigh and or reindeer? 5 points. Is there a Christmas tree? 5 points. Is the fucking North Pole in it? 5 points. And finally, does the film feature elves? 5 points. All of that totals up to a possible 100 points. Now, you're using this scoring system. I was able to score the two previously mentioned films. Miracle on 34th Street, which we all can agree is a Christmas movie, right? Scored an 85 out of 100.
I've never seen it.
You uncultured son of a bitch. But that's not the point.
Listen, that's not my thing.
No. But Elf scored a perfect 100 on the scale, having every single element aforementioned, accidentally, by the way. So also, now that realization shocked me that somehow statistically, based off of these numbers, Elf is more of a Christmas music than Miracle on 34th Street. So I took the next step and I applied the new scoring scale to the two films we've already reviewed in our Christmas series. A Christmas Story scored a 45, and Scrooge scores a 40. Now, again, shocking, but now the data starts to take shape, right? A Christmas Story, one that, regardless of how you like it or not, is universally agreed to be a Christmas movie, scored 45 points.
And probably one of the
100.
all-time top 5 on everybody's list. Christmas Story makes it.
True. It has been universally voted as a top Christmas movie, at least in the United States of America. So I decided to finally test the scores against 3 other movies that I've already watched this year with my family. Jingle All the Way scores a 65. Home Alone scores a 55, and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, scores a 40. Okay, so now we've established a Christmas baseline. I'm approaching this thing fucking scientifically. Bear with me. All right, so I just needed data from other films that are decidedly not Christmas movies, right? So the scores for these films that I've watched recently are as follows. Mortal Kombat 1995 scores a 0. Children of Men scores a 0. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, scored 5 points because it's got elves, and I'm not mincing anything up here. Okay, so now we have our data set. We know that that films that are decidedly not Christmas score very little to no points, and the average score of all the aforementioned Christmas films balances out to be 65.71 points, which is perfectly average out of a scale of 100. So using all this data, I decided to take the most practical route and ask what is the lowest scoring, universally accepted Christmas movie on this list. That would be A Christmas Story at 45 points. And so using this, with all of the aforementioned other data, I've officially determined that using the scoring system, that the minimum value a film must achieve to be indisputably recognized as a Christmas film is to achieve 45 points on this Christmas scoring scale. It was at this point that I finally watched Die Hard with this list of data in mind. And now the time has come to ask the main reason that I did any of this bullshit and did a lot of math, even though my job involves no math other than spending other people's money. Where does Die Hard score on this system? Well, motherfuckers, let's go down it. Does Die Hard feature the actual real Santa in this film? No. 0 points for Die Hard. Does the film's central plot evolve around activities on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning? Yes, the movie takes place on Christmas Eve into Christmas morning. That's 15 points. Does the film in any way attempt to make a statement about the meaning of Christmas and to achieve a perfect Christmas? And I say yes, because the film is about John McClane trying to spend Christmas with his separated family, i.e., he and another character are trying to have a perfect Christmas. That's worth 15 points. Is there at least one character dressed as Santa, aka the Mall Santa rule? I say no. Even though you could make a convincing argument about the reveal of the dead guy in a Santa hat with the "I have a machine gun now, ho, ho, ho," and that would suffice, but it isn't, and no shitty Santa appears in this film, so that's 0 points. Does the film attempt to feature Christmas music, either traditional or contemporary? Yes, it does. In addition to Ode to Joy and Winter Wonderland being in it, fucking Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC. Okay? That's all I need to say on that one. So that's 10 points to that. Is there an exchange of gifts or significant plot point about a perfect gift? No, because even though Holly gets that fucking wash, which bothers me every time I see this movie, and John brings the stuffed animals for his kid, there is no real exchange of gifts in the Christmas spirit. So 0. And mostly because Mr. Takagi doesn't exchange the codes with Hans Gruber like he fucking should. That would have got the movie 5 points, but they don't. It does not feature a sleigh and or reindeer. 0 points there. Is there a Christmas tree? Yes. There's no North Pole and there's no elves, so 0 points in that category. So that brings the final score of Die Hard on the Christmas scoring scale to 45 points, tying it with A Christmas Story. And so, henceforth, by the power invested in me by the state of Pennsylvania, the United States of America, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, and your father's brothers and nephews, cousins, former roommate, I officially declare that Die Hard is indisputably, mathematically, a Christmas movie. Cue the fucking music. I'm dancing right now for the people that are only listening.
He is dancing.
I am dancing.
He is.
With no music.
Terribly.
No music.
None. But we can fix that. We can fix that in post.
Easy.
Yeah.
Also, for future reference, Rocky IV, which I watch weekly anyway, scores a 45. Tim Allen's The Santa Claus scores a perfect 100. And Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It did. And Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which has significant Christmas subplot, only scored a 25. If you were paying attention to my list, it also classifies Home Alone as a Christmas movie, despite my earlier misgivings about it. And Home Alone 2 is not an indisputable, at least, Christmas movie. So my answer, 25 minutes later, is, yeah, it fucking is a Christmas movie. Because math said it is.
That was deeper than I was expecting for this conversation.
Excellent work, man. Excellent work.
Thank you.
I think that's the most work you put into any episode so far. On the
Currently.
Yeah. It only took 26 episodes to get here, but
26 episodes. I've known this guy for at least 18 years. And I think this is I've never seen this before. I'm in shock. Like the amount of thought and work and critical thinking. I've never seen this side of you before. I feel like right now you could go run for office and you could not be stopped.
That's good point. And as long as no one mentions the podcast in my Senate run, in which I may have earlier mentioned that perhaps Mick Foley's semen could...
Don't repeat it again.
Nope.
Let's not repeat it again. How about
Go
that?
back in the archives.
yeah, don't bring it back.
Go back in the archives, guys. Go back in the archives.
It does not resemble nutmeg and eggnog at all.
No.
Mick Foley's semen.
We'll blow past that. But I appreciate the work. I had to make use of my college Excel spreadsheet classes at some point here for data points. So it was good. But yeah, I thought, listen, I respond. I don't know. I'm sure everyone knows this by now, but I respond very emotionally to very trivial things on this fucking podcast. Okay. Like I fucking ran up from across the room to the microphone just to tell specific people, fuck them for liking the band Green Day. Okay, like that's your opinion, man. And I felt strongly enough. Jones and I are still fighting about Bad Boys 2. Like,
because it's a bad movie.
Fuck you. How about that?
No, let's not.
No, sir.
It's not a good movie. Well, okay.
No.
One day we're gonna do this for real, and I'm gonna look you dead in the eyes, and you're gonna look across to me. You're gonna look, and we're gonna have this moment. I'm gonna tell you once again, in a vacuum, Bad Boys 2, passable action film. But when you compare it to the first one, it can't even come close. Its arms are too short. It can't jab. It can't do anything. You both know this is the world knows it's true. Everybody on this podcast knows that Bad Boys 1 is superior on every level to part 2. And you can look at me with that smug look and pretend that's not true. Like you somehow know more about Bad Boys than anybody else in the world. We all know, deep down, when you go to bed tonight, in the back of your mind, you're going to go, yeah, Bad Boys 1 is better. And that's okay.
The argument, I'm looking at you with a smug fucking look.
Yeah.
Because it's not the argument is that Bad Boys 1 is better than Bad Boys 2.
That's always the goddamn argument.
No, you literally 30 seconds ago just described it as a shitty movie. It is not a shitty movie.
And it's also not very good on top of that.
Okay. All right. Listen.
It's passable.
You could describe Bad Boys 2 existing in a fucking vacuum all you want, but
you have to
just like a vacuum. That opinion fucking sucks. Okay, because in this house, in this world, and you know what? I'm gonna say in some world that's a valid opinion, dog. But your weak link is that this is fucking Earth. Okay, and on Earth we respect Bad Boys 2. And you know what?
No one does but you.
No, you know what? That's fine because I'm all they need. I'm all they need.
Yes.
Martin Lawrence.
Take your laser disc of Bad Boys 2 and go somewhere with it, because no one wants to watch it.
Okay, Doc, let me ask you a question. You brought this up. You did this to yourself. You did this to yourself.
This ought to be good.
You want me to go somewhere with Bad Boys 2? We all know I would. But you're going to tell me.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to set the mood for you. It's 10:30 at night. You've had a long day at work, and you're fucking hungry. So you go to an Arby's. And you go up to the counter and you're looking at the menu and you look up at the menu. The guy's like, what do you want? I'm like, just give me a second. And you look up and you're looking at the menu and you look back down and the teenage worker that was just there, he's not there anymore. Sitting there with a headset on is Bad Boys 2. And Bad Boys 2 wants you. Bad Boys 2 wants you to take it back behind the dumpster of the Arby's on Route 88 and do the thing to it. It wants you to tell it that it's a terrible movie. It wants you to treat it like a piece of shit and remind it that it'll never live up to the first one because Tia Leone's not in it. Okay? Will you do it? Will you do that for Bad Boys 2? Would you do that too, would you fuck Bad Boys 2, Doc? That's what I'm asking you. Behind the dumpster at an Arby's.
I just see it back there just putting some Arby's sauce on top of Bad Boys 2's chest.
Yeah, the weird thing is that I could see that from my house.
I'll answer that question as honestly as I can. I wouldn't even give it the time of day. I wouldn't even grace it with my attention, because by doing that, by even just saying, hey, how you doing, would then kind of like give it a little bit of self-confidence, make it feel like someone cares. No one cares. It's the one Bad Boys movie that no one talks about for a reason.
You're internet bullying Bad Boys 2 right now.
Dude, with all due respect, it's not that good. You're
internet bullying Bad Boys 2, and you're doing that while simultaneously slut shaming it. And I just want you to go home.
It takes skill.
And put the soundtrack. You're all home. Leave your house, and then go back in your house and put the soundtrack on, and you think about what you've done.
Yeah, I will.
But I do want to turn it, as Jones and I kind of explained. He kind of explained. I over-explained why I feel this way. Jafar, I want to know. So, what was your deciding factors? How did you determine that Die Hard is indeed a Christmas movie?
Yeah. So while I was watching it, I was trying to think of it objectively. So, like, for the sake of argument's sake, like, how did I feel watching it? And while I was watching it, I was like, it doesn't really feel like a Christmas movie. It feels like an action movie. So I had a checklist, a Christmas movie checklist that I put together of all the themes that make a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. A lot of the ones are the same that you had on your list. I just don't have a point system. I just have yes or no, and the majority were yes. So does it take place on Christmas? Yes. Are there Christmas visuals and themes? Yes. Is there Christmas music? Yes. Including Christmas in Hollis, my favorite Christmas song of all time.
It's a slapper. Was
it released at Christmas time around the holidays? No, it was not. It came out in the summer. But fun fact, Miracle on 34th Street also came out in the summer. So that doesn't necessarily make it a Christmas movie, but it wasn't designed with the holiday audience in mind. Is it watched at Christmas time? Yes. And I did some research. Streaming of Die Hard jumps 400% from Thanksgiving to New Year's, and then it settles back out. Every year it's consistent, that same peak. So that's a yes. Does it focus on the F word, meaning family, not fuck? Yes, it focuses on both, one more than the other. Is there a story about redemption and fulfillment? Yes. Is there a Christmas miracle? John McClane could be the miracle, or according to Hans, the FBI is the miracle because it was the distraction. So that's a yes. And then finally, is there Santa Claus? The answer was no, although I wish I had the now I have a machine gun ho 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 shirt.
That'd be amazing. That would be really amazing.
So of those 10 things, 8 of the 10 boxes were checked. So I'm like, even though it doesn't feel like Christmas, it checks all the boxes. So it's Christmas to me.
And
my man.
And my point to that, Jeff, is that we have a very there's a very narrow-minded view of what Christmas is to people. It's snow. It is holiday lights. It is family getting around the Christmas tree. And not the majority, I would say, of Christmas around the world, including in LA, that's not what it is. Christmas in the Southern Hemisphere is a warm holiday.
It is.
Christmas in many parts of the United States, I have some friends that have recently moved to Florida. I've been out in California in December visiting family, not at the holidays, but just before. That is the reality of Christmas for a lot of people. So when people want to say, oh, well, it doesn't feel like a Christmas movie, fuck you, you narrow-minded piece of shit. Just because it doesn't fit your view of what a Christmas movie is doesn't mean that it's not a Christmas movie, because you've been force-fed this Rockwellian purpose of what Christmas should be. So, I thought about that too when I gave it the rewatch, because I'm like, thematically, it doesn't feel like a Christmas movie, until I thought to myself, you narrow-minded fuck. This is Christmas to a lot of other people around the world, around this fucking country. This is what Christmas is. So how am I to sit there and say, just because we've not been exposed visually to Christmas in Arizona or in San Diego or in Texas, that, that's not really what Christmas, or Hawaii, right? Just because there's one fucking Corona commercial that we see every Christmas where they light the palm tree, right?
It's true.
So thematically that's the case. My conversation where Christmas and Die Hard come together can even be compared to Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's okay. Feel it. Take it in.
I think it's an appropriate moment to say, we all had this conversation during multiple episodes that weren't Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not episodes. Can we all unanimously agree that regardless of how we feel about Die Hard with a Vengeance is the superior Die Hard movie?
Oh,
it's the best one.
1,000%.
Hands down. Yeah.
My God, it's not just a superior Die Hard movie. It's like an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Like all the way through, and every frame, every scene, the score. No one had a damn right to make the ants go marching slap that hard as it does in that movie. So sorry, just a little bit came out of the tip when you mentioned Die Hard with the Vengeance, because the Mad Elf is kicking in. I just sorry. Go back to yourself.
That's why I did it, Noah. I wanted to give you just a little tease. But I think even if you compare Die Hard to other Die Hard movies, where again we have a very similar theme as to what's kind of going on here, you can sit there and tell me that you can't tell me that the first Die Hard and the third Die Hard feel like the same movie. You cannot have Die Hard if Christmas is not happening. Number one, Nakatomi Tower, a massive building in Central City, LA, would be packed on any other fucking work day of the year. But it's Christmas Eve. So the only people in the building are from the Nakatomi Corporation. And they're having their Christmas party inside the building. The reason the terrorists choose that day to go in and rob that company and break into that vault is because it was strategically chosen as Christmas. John McClane is not in LA. He's still in fucking New York City, putting away 6 months worth of criminals. He's not in LA if it's not Christmas, if he's not trying to be with his family. And clearly, as established in the film, there is some strife with the family because of him not necessarily supporting her. And I know that kind of goes into the reason why they're separated in the first place. But he's not there if it's not Christmas. The party doesn't happen if it's not Christmas. If you compare Die Hard to other acceptable Christmas movies, I would sit there and say Die Hard is more a Christmas movie than other acceptable Christmas movies. I never would have given it the thought of Christmas Story, even though I like it more. But I gave it to another Christmas movie that has a very similar premise, Office Christmas Party. If anybody has seen that movie.
I saw the trailer like a bunch of times, so I've never gone through and seen it.
I have seen it, yes.
Yeah. Office Christmas Party is essentially the same movie as Die Hard, with just slightly more investment in the Christmas party itself.
There's a lot more cocaine.
I'm not
more
listening.
cocaine.
I'm going to say
they dump the cocaine into a fan that is supposed to blow fake snow because they think it's fake snow, and the entire party gets fucking high out of their minds.
Yeah.
All right.
Good times.
Good times.
But
yeah, we've all been there, right?
Love Actually.
Just another Christmas party.
Love Actually. The, dare I say, one of the modern renaissance of holiday films that everybody loves to watch around the Christmas time, right?
I don't like that movie.
No.
It is also featuring Hans Gruber himself, Alan Rickman.
Yeah, no,
and even probably, and here's another thing too, real quick. Before I let you do this point here, Noah.
No, please.
Hans Gruber as a character, as an international criminal thief, was it? I can't remember if it was East. I think it was East German Army.
East German.
Yes. Yeah. His character is more redeemable than Alan Rickman's fucking character in Love Actually.
This is true.
Watch Love Actually after, or watch Die Hard after Love Actually, so you can feel a little bit better about what happens to Alan Rickman. Because he is a prick, and everybody hates what happens in Love Actually. But when you compare the movies together, you can't sit there and tell me that Die Hard is less of a Christmas movie than Love Actually. Love Actually can really take place at any point in time. You know, they just happen to want to feature Christmas in the relationships. There are a couple of subplots that, well, if you can't do it because it's Christmas, when can you do it? But, you know, there's a whole sequence in Love Actually that they are basically in the countryside in Spain. No fucking snow.
There's no reason
There's an entire, you know, porn subplot of two people meeting each other, which has nothing to do with Christmas. There's no fucking mistletoe over his dick or over her hooch, right? Right? Not over their cash and prizes. There are maybe two different stories in that movie where Christmas is really a part of it. Not to mention, you know, I mean, the fucking prime minister in the movie, basically trying to have the most consensual, non-consensual affair in British political history. But Die Hard will not exist. Again, the entire you listen to the whole credits of the movie. The entire fucking soundtrack, outside of the orchestral pieces that go through the movie, which is basically not Christmas movie or Christmas movie, it's just the fucking 80s, right?
Yeah.
That you can basically take that soundtrack and put it over top of any action movie in the 80s and it'll fucking work. But every other song in that movie that is not the orchestral soundtrack is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So this movie will not possibly exist if the spirit of the season is not involved. So that's my soapbox on that one, everybody. And I've known that then, and I feel that now. There are a couple of points in the movie where I did question it, but I go back to that point. Can this movie exist without Christmas? And the answer is emphatically no. Even if you compare it to Die Hard 2, which also takes place at Christmas, it is not the same feeling, because I will sit there and say Die Hard 2 is not a Christmas movie.
No, it is not.
Even that thematically, it feels more like Christmas because it's snowing. You know, it's cold outside. It's dark. It is our perception of the holiday. And you said about the Christmas Miracle. Is it a non-traditional Christmas Miracle? Sure. But did what Macaulay Culkin do in fucking Home Alone any different?
Yeah,
No.
Speaking of Home Alone, I mean, if you look at what Kevin McAllister did to the Wet Bandits, like the level of violence, like it's sort of cheeky and fun because it's a kid doing it. But if any of those things happened in real life, those two motherfuckers would be dead.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Some of the hardest I have ever laughed in my life is watching the Wet Bandits get hit with bricks from 5 stories up in Home Alone.
Dude,
You can't survive that.
Attempted murder.
There's no way.
That's not attempted murder. That's legit. The first one, if he lives, that's a cracked face and permanent brain damage. 2 through 5, when he hits fucking Daniel Stern with those things,
Marv.
he's just throwing bricks into a wet puddle that used to be that dude's face at that point.
Listen, I don't want to finish eating dinner if I burn my tongue on the food that I'm eating if it's too hot coming out of the oven. I'm not going to fucking worry about breaking into somebody's house when I got a fucking M melted into my hand. I'm done at that point. I've broken into enough houses. I don't need to go ahead and hit the McAllister house. Fuck it. It's fine. What do I got to prove? I've got a whole plumbing truck full of goods from the other houses, right?
That's right.
The most unrealistic part about that first Home Alone movie to me isn't all of that. And it isn't the fact that anytime I just rewatched these movies within the last month with my daughter, and I just find myself now as a parent screaming about how terrible the parenting is in these movies.
Awful.
Just
awful.
atrocious.
And they just laugh it off like it's no big deal.
Oh, man.
But the most unrealistic part about the whole thing, and I had to pause the movie and stop my daughter and say, listen, I want you to know that's not how this happens.
Is it when she drives across the country from Scranton, Pennsylvania to Chicago in a fucking truck full of polka players?
No. It's even better than that. It's the first scene where Daniel Stern slips and falls on the ice. Because living in the Northeast United States, we've all slipped and fell on ice. And when you hit that ice, you lay there for an eternity. And you reassess everything that happened in your life into that moment to see what happened to you to lead you to falling on this ice. And then we all do this thing that no one ever talks about. You get up, you look around to see who saw you fall. Right? Like if you're not with somebody,
of course.
Who saw that? Who saw that? And you never really see anybody, but you know somebody saw. Someone saw.
There's always somebody who saw it.
And at that point, that's where you tuck it in. You're like, fuck it. No, I'm done. My ass hurts. I'm going to go get a bowl of chili somewhere and get real mad about this.
He absolutely shit himself when he hit the ground. There's no way he didn't. There's no way he didn't. Now, I want to piggyback off of that, Noah, because I feel very strong about this. I'm going to take our audience on a little journey here real quick before we circle back to Die Hard. I want to go ahead and talk about a hockey game that myself, that Jeff, and a friend of all of ours, Mike Viola, went to.
Who's going to hate our decision on this podcast, by the way?
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait for him to hate the decision that came up on this.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a Pens Flyers game. And for anybody who is a hockey fan listening to this podcast, that's a rivalry, ladies and gentlemen, and probably one of the most heated in hockey and one of the more fabled in sports.
American sports.
At this hockey game, before the game, during the game, myself, Mike, and Jeff, we drank for the occasion, everyone. We drank pretty hard. Now, as we're leaving the arena, all three of us, very two shits to the wind at this point. Probably myself and Jeff a little bit more than Mike. We're walking, we're horsing around. And ladies and gentlemen, fucking Jeff. In one of the greatest cinematic moments, one of the greatest cinematic moments I've ever experienced in my life. Jones, this is the equivalent to me tossing a box of noodles, of pasta, into a pot not boiling, and then looking at you dead in the eyes and going, probably shouldn't have done that.
That's right.
I watched Jeff fucking freely walk right into a parking meter. Just dead on the fucking street. We're walking, having a conversation.
Aggressively, too. It wasn't just like a gentle tap. It was full on to my chest.
Absolutely. Fucking square right in the chest. To the point that we looked over to continue having the conversation with Jeff and noticed he just wasn't there anymore. and just looking back. And just kind of fucking 2 arms and a leg wrapped around
Yeah,
this
just
thing.
like this, like over the top of it.
Just over the top of it. Now, for anybody who knows me, knows that karma doesn't happen to me in a month. It doesn't happen to me in a week. It doesn't even wait a day. It happens fucking now. So, as we're giving Jeff shit about walking into a fucking parking meter in the middle of Fifth Avenue in front of an entire arena and a sea of people,
1,000 people around me.
We are crossing the street. I go to step up on the curb about 4 feet too early. So as I step down, my foot fucking catches the curb, and I fucking like a sack of potatoes just drop face first onto the sidewalk and slid about 4 feet. I ripped a hole through my jeans.
Oh, jeez.
I ripped off a fingernail. And to your point, Noah, I laid there.
I didn't even see it. I was still on that fucking parking meter.
and you know, so I'm fucking down and I can't go anywhere. I'm basically a part of the sidewalk at that point. So like Mike and Jeff come up real quick and they're like, you fucking fell, dude. He's not getting up. And like it turned from laughter to concern, not just amongst our friends, but amongst a plethora of strangers around who had to peel my fucking pancake flat body off the ground. But that's the point we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, about
just
Daniel
one of
Stern falling on the ice in Home Alone.
Oh my God!
So I spent a lot of years working. We a number of us here worked at Toys R Us. I spent time working at an ice rink when I was in high school and early college, and you'd see kids run, and they trip and fall. And they either just bounce right back up and just keep on going, or they lay there for a minute and cry and look around to see if anybody's watching, including their parents. And when they don't, they stop crying, they get up, and they just keep going. But there's somewhere around 27 or 28 that if you fall, it's done. It is
you feel that
over.
Shit.
It is over. You feel that shit for days. You know, your pride and your body.
Oh.
So, but yeah, so fuck Daniel Stern, how you've even managed to get up from that is, hats off to you.
No spring chicken.
That's a hell of a sidebar, Mac.
That's a hell of a sidebar. It is. Thank you. This is the Christmas Tales of Dave O'Mac, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to obviously circle back to Die Hard briefly. So I wasn't going to say this initially, but as I listen to what you guys are saying and how you feel about it, it really kind of reaffirms my thoughts a little bit. And I'm going to go with, I said I watched the movie twice because I felt like I had to. I really, really had to. I wanted to watch it once. I mean, just blind, really not thinking one way or the other about it. Oh, am I looking for Christmas elements? Because I really remembered nothing, like 0 things. So I was pleasantly surprised when I noticed so much, I will call it superficial Christmas elements in the movie, which was good. I mean, that's Christmas music, like subtle, music in the background, commercial music. And I think I wrote in my notes, I only wrote a page of notes because it just there wasn't a lot to really say about it after a while. At some point, this stops being a Christmassy movie. It just stops for a while.
Yeah.
And then it kind of becomes one again for a while.
All the action in the middle takes a pause from Christmas, and then it circles back.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. So when I finished it, I finished the movie, and I'm like, I mean, I can see why people feel that it is, for sure. I was like, but it doesn't it's not Christmas at all to me. It's got elements, but not a lot of it, right? So I'm like, let me watch this. I'm just gonna watch it again. Fuck it. But this time, I'm really gonna look at it with the perspective of this is gonna be a Christmas movie. I figured I would just look at it this way because I already seen it. Everything was fresh in my mind, all the details, everything. But before I did, I'm like, I wonder what the director thought about this film, because that's the most important part, the creative direction, right?
That's true.
So I'm assuming, Mac, since you wrote a college paper on this, you're aware. I mean, the original script had no elements of Christmas at all. It was just like a heist movie. And the director had no interest in that. It was brought to him multiple times. He had no interest in it. But eventually, he decided, well, if I could add some soul to it, some energy to it, make people care a little bit more. That's where the Christmas elements came into play, right? So realistically, the movie Die Hard was not supposed to be a Christmas film on any level. It became one over time. And although I will respectfully agree to disagree, I truly believe that this movie, without Christmas, is the exact same movie. It doesn't really need it. I don't think the script falls apart without the elements of Christmas. It enhances the story, sure, of course it does. But it doesn't really need to exist for me as the consumer. But after watching it the second time, knowing what I know about what the director felt, knowing that what I have kind of like consumed the first 2 hours and fucking whatever minutes of my life, I realized, like I said at the beginning of this episode, it is easily like the worst Christmas movie I've ever seen if it's a Christmas movie. Like, it is legit ass not that awesome. It's a fine action film. It's a great action film, sure. But as a Christmas film, on any level, whether it's traditionally or not traditionally or whatever you want to fucking call it, it's not that awesome. There's no learned lesson. There's no real Christmas experience. What it is an action film. That's what it is. And that's okay that it is. And I wrote here that, although I'm not sold that it's really, truly a good Christmas film, it doesn't matter. Because the monolith that is pop culture has decided for me. And there are people who, I didn't write this, but have written articles, essays about this, who believe it so strongly it might as well be true. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what we think. Because most people think that it is. But at the end of the day, the director said it is. And if the director says it is, then it fucking is.
The female...
So, like, when I read that, I almost went like, what's the point of the fucking episode? Why are we recording this if the director said it is?
I mean,
it is.
No, in fairness, James Cameron maintains that Avatar is a good movie. That doesn't mean it is. It's pretty fucking far from a good movie.
I completely agree with you on that, Noah. Avatar is a vanilla movie if I've ever seen and had vanilla in my life.
I don't like vanilla. It's boring. Mix some fucking fruit or chocolate in that shit.
But at least that's not a really good comparison, right? Like, he says it's a good movie, but he says it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there it is.
Well,
but
it's not the same, man.
One second. Let me just say something here. Just because this is the only time I'll probably ever get to mention this on the podcast. You're going to make that expensive of a movie with all those visual effects, and you're going to bother to basically explain how these blue fuckers have sex. But you ain't going to give me a little bounce chicka wow on that. You ain't going to let me, you're not going to slow it down. You're not going to have any sexy saxophone in that.
We're not going to get Lethal Weapon sax in there.
No Lethal Weapon
no
sax
sexy
in
sax.
that. No sexy sax in that at all. Could have them like tie up their knots. They look at each other.
Basically, the way they have sex is the same way they interact with other animals. So the fucking, aliens in Avatar are some kinky motherfuckers.
Which I'm down with. God, I hope if
those
we go
tentacles
to another planet,
fuck that entire planet.
Maniacs.
They fuck dragons. They fuck six-legged horses. They fuck the trees and the ground. Like, it is just a massive, like, cum-filled orgy on that fucking planet.
Could you imagine if of all the visualizations that have ever come out of a possible alien invasion, if porn got it right, if these aliens just land on Earth and just start trying to fuck
that's if anybody listening to this podcast has not ever really watched Rick and Morty, that's basically half the show. aliens on other planets, let's fuck. It's and I feel like that's what the actual intergalactic grid is really all about. What species can fuck with other species?
Jafar, I cut you off with blue dicks and stuff. So
I was going to say that
that's Watchmen. That's a whole different blue dick.
So much blue dick.
Oh,
but I was going to say that Bruce Willis has gone on record to say Die Hard is not a fucking Christmas movie. It's a fucking Bruce Willis movie.
He's such a dick. I read that quote.
That was how he closed out his roast on Comedy Central.
I feel like Bruce Willis didn't have the chops to write that himself. So I will obviously take whatever Bruce Willis says with a grain of salt. The main female protagonist in the movie is named fucking Holly. Don't even sit there and tell me that when you're naming characters that is not going to be on purpose, because it absolutely is. We mentioned the director, everybody. I want to go ahead and give a little bit of love here to John McTiernan, who directed Die Hard, because he has also directed some other fine films over the years, including one of my, it's not my top 10, but it's absolutely my top 20, Predator.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Predator's a
great film,
movie, dude.
Great action film,
badass movie. It's one of the few action movies from the 80s that unnecessarily ages so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does. Yes. It gets better.
Yeah. We will have to discuss Predator at some point in time, because I have a lot of strong feelings about that, how well crafted that movie is, how it starts as one movie and it ends as something else. And also, as I will go ahead and kind of preview here, I believe that Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the greatest American actors of all time in American cinema. Because, and I'll say mainly because of this, anybody who tries to remake a movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger did fails fucking miserably. Because there's just something about him as an actor that works, right? But John also directed Die Hard with a Vengeance, right? As we would all say, the favorite of this franchise. The Hunt for Red October, Last Action Hero. He's got some movies out here that are pretty good. A movie that I think is pretty underrated that I enjoyed, The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas.
That is one of the biggest box office flops of all time, and I don't get it. It's got that proof that the movie is fucking badass. So it's got to be marketing.
They marketed that movie horribly. Yeah.
I think that movie's amazing.
Yeah. But to go back to your point here, Noah, I did, it's been a couple of years since I've really had a chance. And again, I got to watch this with Stephanie, my wonderful, beautiful, 5-foot goddess, who is going to be listening to this podcast and probably through the door, as she's getting ready for bed right now. But that was her first time watching it. I don't know what Stephanie was doing in the 80s or in the early 90s when she could start watching 80s movies, but she missed a few. So over the course of our relationship, I've had the privilege of being able to bring a lot of that to her. And she said to me, this movie fucking, it slaps. She's like, I'm actually surprised by the level of storytelling they attempt to put into this movie. Little elements they introduce in the first act that pay off later on. Small moments that end up becoming major. Hey, are you afraid of flying? When I'm afraid of flying, when I get to the place that I go to, I like to take off my shoes and socks, and I just like to rub my feet on the carpet.
You got to make fists with your toes.
You got to make fists with your toes.
Fists with your toes.
Just to kind of ground myself where I am. And that whole fucking
I'm sorry,
thing.
wait 1 second. Dear sweet listener, I dearly invite you to open up incognito browser on your phone, go to Google and put fist toes, and then hit videos on Google search.
Is that for our midnight listener?
That's for our singular midnight listener. Hey, how you doing? We hope you enjoyed your Peruvian surprise, you beautiful bastard.
Have we heard from Puerto Rico, Noah? Has Puerto Rico checked in?
You know what? Give me a second. I'll look into that while we're letting our midnight listener work up his fluff, as it were.
Just work your feet into that carpet, midnight listener.
Yeah, make fists with your toes.
Fist with your toes.
Trust me, I better. Here's the thing. That's one of those, and I'm trying not to pick apart this movie because that's not what I wanted to do, right? But when he gets done with that line, okay, when he gets done with that line, then he grabs the bear, and the guy sees the gun, and he's like, "Don't worry, I've been a cop for all these years." And then he makes eye contact with that fucking stewardess. Right as he goes by, and then he doubles back, and then we're right in the credit sequence. And that it was kind of weird. It makes me, and I've never thought about it until I started watching this movie objectively. Now, did John McClane cheat on Holly when they were separated? Is it cheating? We're not going to get into that.
I feel real confident he's not an awesome husband.
No,
yeah, he's kind of a piece of shit.
It seems like it. Yes.
For that. Yeah.
Now, see, I didn't get that impression. The impression No, because the impression that I got was I've been away from my wife for 6 fucking months. All I can do now is window shop, right? I can go ahead and take a look at the goods without really touching it. Because the other thing I think too in his mind is this is my last chance of fixing this marriage. We haven't been talking for a little while. She has the fucking kids, right? If this fails, that stewardess goes from window shopping to window dressing. Like, I'm going to fucking wear that on my way out.
That's a good point.
And
that actually makes him a worse person.
Well,
oh yeah.
You know what
sure.
though? Like,
actually,
I know, gentlemen, have you taken that cross country flight before? I mean, Jeff, I know
yes.
you have.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long ass flight to be sitting there by yourself, contemplating what the fuck are you going to get into on the other side of that flight.
Yeah.
Not to mention breaking up a terrorist ring trying to abduct $640 million in secure bonds, right? So, when you go into like that type, I've even had like an hour-long drive where I'm going to somebody's house to like see, well, am I going to be in a relationship after this when I drive back, right? I've seen the flip side of that where she drove an hour to my house and then fucking decided to egg my house when she got there. So, beyond that, you have to sit there and also have prepared yourself that after 6 months, your marriage is very likely over. And you got that nice glimmer right at the beginning of the movie when she reaches out to him, where you staying? Why don't you come to the house? I know the kids will be happy to see you. Pause. Happy. Gonna wipe my pits with your nice, really Nakatomi private bathroom towel. And I'm happy to see you too. Right? Fuck. We can relax a little bit. Now we have to introduce a little strife because if we didn't, John's with Holly when the terrorists go into the party. And then he can't slip out the back door. But, just that whole urgency. And that's really where I think the Christmas miracle comes in. Is that, anytime that you have those moments in your life where, bad stuff starts to happen, it puts a lot of things in perspective about the people you want to have with you. Whether John's really going to save the day or not. And I like that John is not like fucking John Wick in this movie or, even, Bloodsport's Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's just a fucking cop who knows how to fire a gun and is going to cuss at you like a fucking New York police officer is going to, and inadvertently save the day. I was surprised how few terrorists he was acting like. My original idea of the movie for a long time was just he's fucking going room to room, surviving and
kills
killing
like 40
guys,
yeah.
Until but that's not really how it is,
It's like 6 guys.
It's like 6 guys, and that's so much like. There's a little bit of realism we've lost in movies where the dude's not a fucking superhero in hiding. He's just a dude put in extraordinary circumstance and is able to fucking rise to the occasion just enough that he can walk out.
No, yeah, just to add on to that, one of the few notes I have about this movie from rewatching it that isn't part of that large data dump I did on everybody earlier was A, the very few amount of guys he kills in this movie, and B, the large amount of shots that he misses. In this movie, there's a lot of scenes where 3 bad guys run in, they have a firefight, 1 guy gets shot, 2 bad guys run out,
right? And then they move on to the next scene and they kind of whittle it down until there's only a couple left at the end, but they don't really show up with a lot of guys. But it's one of those things that I'm trying not to get on a pedestal or soapbox about action movies. But here's a guy that doesn't have superhuman powers, as you mentioned, doesn't have like this sweet assassin ability to use any object around to assassinate somebody. He misses most of the shots he takes and gets himself super fucked up during the course of this small encounter, and he still manages to come off like an action hero. So
yeah, one of the notes that I had was how shitty the rest of the bad guys were. Like their voices were terrible, their dialogue was terrible. It reminded me of Suburban Commando. You're a dead man, Ramsey.
Oh man,
like that was the level of how shitty these terrorists were. I mean,
by the way, we're absolutely doing Suburban Commando. We're absolutely doing that movie. Yeah.
Can we do Suburban Commando while I am just dressed in my Suburban Commando?
Yeah.
We're
going to keep the camera from the waves up here. That's what we're going to do.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so terrible. It's so bad. But it is such a moment in time. I feel like we should do like a special series that is WrestleMania 7. Right? Hogan and fights the entire Gulf War by himself. Then we do Suburban Commando right in the middle of that. And then we do Survivor Series 91, where it's him versus the guy he fights in Suburban Commando, The Undertaker. Right? We got to do like a 3-episode series about that. Just like how 1991 was Hulk Hogan. Well, let me tell you, motherfucker. What was about that? But yeah, I'm sorry. No, there's 2 other points I want to make about this movie, and I think it's important to note about its Christmasness or lack therefore of. What I think you had both made great points. Everyone had made a great point about this movie. Could have taken place on another time of the year, and I think that's to a certain extent true. Right? Little rework of the script, and this takes place any other time of the year. And on the flip side, the point I wanted to make is I think the reason why Christmas element sticks is because it adds a slice of innocence to before the bad guys show up. You know what I mean? Like, if it was just a weekend in April, a guy trying to get back together with his wife, he goes to an office party, try to get together. It's like, oh, it's okay. But because it's Christmas, like, come on, give him a chance, or let him see his kids, or even the cocaine terrible motherfucker Ellis deserves maybe a little bit of a shot because it's Christmas, man. So it softens. It softens the babyface part of the movie, which I think helps sharpen the heel. And that's the other point I wanted to make. I think this could be construed as more of a Christmas movie because even let me step that back a little bit. I think it's a certainly most unique Christmas movie because even more than Bill Murray in Scrooged, this movie has a heel. Hans Gruber is such a great bad guy. He's like the NWO. He's definitely a bad guy, but he's so cool. You don't want to root against him. He's doing everything he is. And like, name me a Christmas movie in which a heel isn't like greedy man tries to make people buy more of this thing, or that the heel isn't people who don't have the Christmas spirit, or like they're up. Here's the guy. No, he's literally planning to take a bunch of hostages to the roof and blow them up.
Yeah, he's a terrible human being, but you kind of like him.
Yeah, well dressed. You know,
that's Alan Rickman.
Got the charming accent. You know,
Severus Snape.
Three levels pre-Severus Snape.
Of Nottingham, dude, nails this movie. So hard.
Cut his heart out with a spoon.
Why one of the best.
It's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more.
To me, one of the most amazing heel monologues in any action movie, much less probably I would even say, I'm going to put a stamp on it now, the most amazing heel monologue in any Christmas movie is he's like, we could do this any way you want. We could do it the easy way or the hard way. Alas, Mr. Takagi chose the hard way, so he won't be joining us for the rest of his life. Like, it's just like, oh God.
By the way, I shot him in his face. He's dead.
Yes, shot him straight up. It's a shame to ruin that suit. Like,
it's a great level of diabolical playfulness that he has in the movie, because he's like, we don't want to kill you because we need to kill you later. I need to blow up the fucking roof. So there's just a mass of body parts that they're going to take years to sort through while I cash in these bonds and buy an island that's somewhere in Fiji to live the rest of my days. Right? Like fucking, it's great. Just the way he disarms you in that role. And that was really Alan Rickman's first real role in Hollywood. That was the first film role he had. I mean, he did a lot of Shakespeare and a lot of stage acting before that, which you can, you can definitely feel that. And talking about another Alan Rickman movie where, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Harry Potter is a Christmas movie. Harry Potter is not a Christmas movie. Not even just the fact that it has a Christmas. They spend like 3 minutes in Christmas because they go through the entire year. Harry Potter is as much a Christmas movie as a Halloween movie, or as it is a I'm taking my finals before the end of school movie, right? You know, so Harry Potter exists most of its time outside of Christmas. Die Hard exists only in Christmas. And, you know, you talked about like the thematic elements about the decorations and stuff. And I think another reason people look at Die Hard as maybe not being a Christmas movie is because the Christmas elements don't slap you across the face like a fucking wet pancake. Right? Yeah,
one of my favorite things that they sort of snuck in, because it takes place in LA and they couldn't do snow, at the end when they're at the ambulance and the paper's just falling down, like it's real subtle, like, oh yeah, feels like it's snowing.
People wrapped in blankets because they're in shock from the trauma.
Yeah. They look cold.
There's no, and there's absolutely no fucking irony about that or mistake. That was completely on purpose. It was completely planned. Again, the director, and it goes right into fucking Let It Snow.
Yeah,
right at the end credits.
It's visual cues.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
You know, I mean, the cocaine, right? We just got to get a little bump of snow here before I go try to negotiate with the terrorists to let us all go. And he gets his Coke, and then he gets his Coca-Cola.
Yeah, kids. Just a future reference, and I'm sure, Doc, you could back me up on this. If you ever find yourself in a high-pressure terrorist hostage negotiation, lay off the cocaine before you go talk to the terrorists.
It's a good call.
It's not a good look.
I feel like
not a good call.
I feel like the more you know should be going across everybody's mental image of this podcast.
Just gonna put that out there. Maybe you know the cocaine that's burning a hole in your pocket. Maybe don't do a bump before you go negotiate for the lives of everyone at this building, right? Against the people who are armed. Maybe, for sure. No, hashtag don't do coke before a hostage situation. Yeah.
And, you know, I want to throw something out here to the listeners as well, just talking about, you know, Christmas movie versus non-Christmas movie. Let me take something that's a little bit more contemporary right now that a lot of people can probably relate to. Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 takes place during Christmas. There are some Christmas decorations. There's streets decked for the holidays. You know, he talks about Merry Christmas at the end of the movie. Nobody looks at Iron Man and think that that's a holiday, that that's a Christmas movie. You don't feel it at all. Yeah. But if you're going to go ahead and watch Hawkeye on Disney Plus, that whole fucking
takes place
series
at Christmas, the entire series
is Christmas, and you feel that. That's why Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and Die Hard with a Vengeance or some of these other movies aren't, because instinctually, deep down, you know, you feel within yourself that there is a holiday element to this movie that is undeniable, that is ingrained in the DNA, in the fabric of Die Hard. And that is the Christmas cheer. That is the Christmas spirit.
Well said. Well said. I wanted to share. So we had talked about on our last episode, sort of throwing a poll out to our social media circles to see, because does anybody really care what us four assholes think? Probably not.
No.
We care because we're friends. But so
unless you're the person who has shared this with your friend to use this in an argument you're making, in which case the person who shared you with us fucking matters. You know what? We matter to you.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I've had a conversation with coworkers about this, but I haven't exactly been like, you guys really need to listen to this podcast, because here it is. They know I'm doing a podcast, but they're also in some cases management of mine, and I don't quite know if I want them to get that involved. Even though I've probably said to them on lunch hours way more fucked up shit than they say on this thing.
Yeah. But so speaking of work, so today at my office was Christmas movie day, and we have TVs throughout our office in every area. And in the front area of the building, they played Die Hard on a 10-hour loop starting at 7 a.m. this morning. So it was fun. It was very timely for the recording of this episode. But I threw the poll out to my social media network to see what my circle of influence thinks about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not. And the response was 69% of my friends.
Nice.
That was not intentional to get that number, but I'm very glad that's what we hit. Say yes. Yes, it is a Christmas movie. So it's not just us. It's the majority, at least in the circles that we run in. But while we're talking about non-Christmas Christmas movies or Christmas movies that may or may not be Christmas movies, I wanted to play a little game with you gentlemen. So yes. Lightning round. I have a list of 8 to 10 different movies that take place on or around Christmas. And rapid fire, I want to see off the cuff if you guys think these are Christmas movies. We'll start with one that Dave just talked about, Iron Man 3. Christmas movie, yay or nay?
Nay. That's barely a movie.
It's not very good.
Shane Black would beg to differ with you. I will say nay.
But that kid got invited to the funeral. Nobody else did.
That's the only cool thing to come out of Iron Man 3. Not the fact that we got the living laser, yes, but no. I'm not even going to go into it. No, it's not.
No, it's no for everybody. Next movie, Gremlins. Yes or no? I say yes.
Yes.
Jones?
I don't remember at all. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but I'm going to say yeah.
So Jeff,
good answer.
I'm going to also say yes. And I will say the same thing about Gremlins that I say about Die Hard. Could that movie take place? Could a movie like Gremlins take place at any other point in time in the year, in any other place? Yes.
Yes.
But can Gremlins itself exist without the thematic elements of Christmas? No. It's the same thing. It's my same argument with Die Hard.
I give you that.
Agreed. Next movie, Batman Returns.
Yes. And while everyone else is looking around left and right and trying to remember the movie and why they feel so strongly about it, yes.
That's why I want to do a rapid fire, off the cuff. What do you remember?
Yes, absolutely. That movie is a fucking Christmas movie.
A Christmas movie? No.
Yes.
I am so on the fucking fence on this one. And it's not one of those fences you can easily scale. It's the ones that have those little points at the top where you're afraid if you slip the wrong way, your taint's done for.
Your nuts are done.
It's that kind of fucking fence.
Not tearing fence.
Because one of the things about that movie, I know rapid fire, I'm sorry, Jeff, but I got to say this.
You're fucking up my whole game.
I know, but I feel very strongly about this. What resonates for me so much is the last fucking line that Michael Keaton says. Peace on earth and goodwill toward men. Pause. And women. Because that's so fucking Christmas. But I have to lean on the other side that it's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. So it's just no on that one.
Oh, well, I mean.
I'm sorry, man. No, I'm real close. I'm really close to that being a Christmas movie, but it just misses on my scale.
All right. Next one. Cue sexy saxophone. Lethal Weapon.
Oh, okay. So that was one of the first movie when I finished my scale that I really am interested to go back and look at. But here's the thing. If you had asked me before I did my Christmas movie scale, I would have said, yeah, fuck that. Now, I'm going to say no. Because even though it's one of the only Christmas movies or Christmas theme movies that's got some titties in it, I'm going to go ahead and say it doesn't have titties. It has titties in it. I'm going to go ahead and say no, it is not a Christmas movie.
Dave?
That's a solid no.
No.
It's a no for me. Next one. Dave mentioned this one earlier. Love Actually. I say no. Maybe because I'm not a fan, but.
No.
To me, it is, but barely.
I'm going to say yes, but the fact that it takes 9 seconds for that movie to drop 9/11 on us makes me real unhappy about it. Right? It's like when the towers hit, on September 11th. The world learned. It's like, fuck you, Hugh Grant.
That's what the world. That's what the world. That's the world's view of 9/11 at that point.
But it is a cleverly written movie, with the exception of the 9/11 references. It's just like, no. It is, though. I'm not happy about it, but I would say yes.
Okay, next one. You've Got Mail.
Absolutely not. No.
I'm going to say no.
Takes place on Christmas. That's what starts the whole thing.
But I'm going to on me there. Yeah. So I didn't catch any of the title. Mm-hmm.
Tom Hanks, You've Got Mail.
Oh, never saw it, so I have no idea. So I'm just going to say no.
So
no,
that's fair.
I would say that is a fair movie that uses Christmas as part of a storytelling element.
Yeah, it's part of the story.
But
You've Got. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I was going to say it's not a Christmas movie, but I think it's the only AOL movie.
That was what I was going to say. Yeah. That movie. Did you guys ever see The Internship with Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn? You guys ever see that? Right? You ever watch that movie? No. It's basically a 2-hour Google advertisement, right? Hey, You've Got Mail, like you said. No, it's basically fucking sleepless in your email, right? Is basically what it is. So it's an AOL. It's a 2-hour AOL commercial. So no.
All right, so that's a no. Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
I say yes.
Yeah.
All right. Here, let me just add one slight element to that. It doesn't matter what else is going on. Danny Elfman did his Christmas shit. It's basically the same soundtrack as Scrooge. It really literally is. And at which point, like, how can it?
Yeah, he just reused it.
Yeah. It was Scrooge. Yeah. It was Scrooge, Batman Returns, and fucking Edward Scissorhands. Just the same soundtrack cues, all fucking together.
All right, we got 3 more. Next one. Dan Aykroyd, Trading Places.
No.
Drunk Santa.
No. Though I bet you that movie would get real close to the established 45 on my list. In that movie, I think there is not a single person with half a brain that wouldn't say that that's a comedic masterpiece of a movie. A movie that gets smarter every time.
It's pretty dark. It's pretty dark. But it's hilarious.
But no, it's not a Christmas movie. It's a masterpiece. Yes,
it's honorable mention for me. It's barely out of the circle.
Okay, next one. Rocky IV.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes.
No.
For the love of Jesus Christ,
no.
Jones. I have mathematically established that it is.
That's not a Christmas movie, brother.
Dude, it is.
It's not. No, it's not.
I'm going to say no, but I just put it on there for no other reason.
I can't even see how you would think it is.
Because it meets all of the story elements. It has someone dressed as Santa. It has events taking place on Christmas Eve.
That could have been all Polly found.
Does it make it a Christmas movie?
It statistically does. We've established this.
You have established your system. Doesn't mean it exists outside of this show. It is not a Christmas movie.
What you all have to understand is Noah's equation here doesn't just quite solve the is it or is it not a Christmas movie dilemma. It also solves string theory and has actually balanced the economy in several third world nations.
If you follow, I'm going to go on a limb and say this. If you follow my Christmas scoring list, it could probably bring peace to the Middle East at last. That's all I'm going to say.
Just because he ended the Cold War single-handedly, Noah, doesn't mean it's going to also bring... They've been fighting each other for 3,000 years. They don't give a shit.
Don't we want to at least give it a shot? You got to tell me you bring all the leaders of all the world together and you play this fucking movie. And if it's not if I can change, you can change, we all can change line, then at least 40 minutes earlier when Paulie clearly fucks that robot in the middle of this movie for no reason. That you can't say
even more not of a Christmas movie.
All right.
It's the only Christmas movie where someone fucks a robot, and I think we need to get that.
This is true. I didn't add that as a category when I was reviewing Die Hard.
I mean, Lando Calrissian fucked the robot in Solo. That doesn't mean makes that a Christmas movie either.
No, it's
exactly.
True.
It's true. All right, last movie on my non-Christmas Christmas movie list: the Ben Affleck classic Reindeer Games. Where they dress up as Santa to rob a casino.
And I'm gonna be really controversial. And I'm gonna say does Reindeer Games as an entire film count as a Christmas movie, even in spite of the fact that it probably ticks off enough points on my list? No, it doesn't. But
I don't even know if it counts as an actual movie.
And that's what I was trying to get to. But it features late 90s Charlize Theron when she had absolutely no fucks about what she was doing in movies. And at that point, we should all be grateful for Reindeer Games because that's the Christmas miracle. That's the Christmas miracle.
We've now officially established when Noah got his 407th erection.
407 and 8th now officially. I've never ever
folks,
wanted to be Santa beer before.
Thanks for playing Christmas
Appreciate
non-Christmas movie, the lightning round. We established 2 out of 10 movies were Christmas movies: Edward Scissorhands and Gremlins.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Not bad. Not bad.
So there you go. This is the podcast today, guys. Guys, I feel like we did humanity a fucking service with this episode today.
Noah, you're going to get a Nobel Prize in like 15 years when other scientists prove your theory right. And we're all going to be in fucking Sweden while you sit there in a weird tux accepting this shit.
I would wear a crushed blue velvet suit. I would dress as Prince.
Nice.
To accept that Nobel Peace Award. And when I got up to accept the award, I would hold it in my hands. And then I would just give the Rocky IV speech. You know, when I came here today, I didn't know what to expect. But if I could change and do the whole thing, it's going to be great. And then I'll fuck a robot.
I mean, in 20 years,
there you go.
Is it
quite acceptable now?
Noah, if you fucked the robot, would you name it Sega Channel?
Oh.
More importantly,
I wasn't going to until now.
More importantly, could you convince Jones to fuck said robot?
Yeah.
I feel like
one of these days.
If I play the long con on that, right? I get this robot, and then like I get the robot a job at Herb's work. Right. And over like 10 to 15 years, they come up with like a real buddy relationship, and then the robot goes through some shit. And then all of a sudden the robot gets promoted. Herb's a little upset about it. And then the robot asks Herb to go on to this convention with him. And then they have like a couple of drinks. And then shit starts to happen. And then Herb's like, what did I do? I'm going to pop out of that hotel room closet and go, oh.
just was like
it was a long con.
Noah's going to jump out of the fucking closet with a bag of Arby's being like, I fucking knew it.
I knew it.
What's going to be great is that when Noah does it, this is what's going to happen. I can actually see this visually in my mind, right? So Jones has...
I'm glad you can.
Joan has fucking finally fucked the symbiont robot that Noah has been planning and catfishing him for about 10 years. He fucking jumps out of the closet with a bag of Arby's and fucking the Bad Boys theme song playing on a fucking old school 80s stereo on a cassette tape. And then he just goes, by the way, that robot was named Sega Channel, and he fucking leaves.
Yeah. He just Meanwhile, the real Sega Channel is crying in a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
Thinking about what could have been.
The real Sega Channel is at home with a couple of kids. One
of those kids that may or may not look a little bit like Herb.
Yeah. Sega Channel's like, let me check your phone. I'm like, no. I gotta go bowling.
Oh my God.
That's one more pro tip, kids. Never let Sega Channel check your messages. Establish a line of trust with the Sega Channel. And if you feel like he crosses over, then you may need to move on. That's my thing. But guys, speaking of moving on, we've solved world hunger or something to the equivalent of today. And next week, for as much sense as any of our arguments may make, we're going to review a movie that makes even less in a certain extent. Because to anyone's surprise, suddenly we're going to cover The Matrix.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm interested in talking about the nature of this movie. Just because there's some symbolism spread throughout.
Oh God, it's all philosophy.
There is, and also if you look at the modern state of filmmaking, most of it would not be where it is and made possible the way that it is without the Matrix sort of revolutionizing special effects.
You know, there's probably every 10 years or so, 10, 15 years, a movie comes along that just kicks the can way down the road and elevates what everybody can do, you know, afterwards. I mean, you can start with Clash of the Titans and how that movie was able to really bring special effects into a different way. And then, you know, George Lucas comes in and pulls his dick out and says, "Here, hold my beer." And then we
pulls his neck thing out.
Yeah. Here's, a little faster and more intense, everybody. Just a little faster and more intense here. Thank you. Yeah. And then you get, you know, 10 years later, we get into the digital age when Jurassic Park comes about. And then this movie that nobody ever fucking saw coming, that half the people that watched it had no clue what they saw because they had to go back and watch it a second or a third time to finally grab the concept of this thing. A movie that was so fucking well written that the hottest actor at the time, Will fucking Smith, read the script and just said, "I don't get it," and passed on it. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Will Smith is neat.
Yeah, he did Bad Boys 2 instead.
Right?
Fucking
That
asshole.
Fucking.
How about that shit?
Yeah. Just and you know, we've obviously had some movies since then that have also kind of helped move it forward, but fucking a lot of cinema we see today, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't exist if the Matrix doesn't happen.
Yep.
Or it does, but in a way less good way. You know.
And the reason we're covering the Matrix is because the new Matrix
comes out in a couple days.
Resurrection? Is that what it's called?
Resurrection. Yeah.
Comes out this week.
Yeah,
exciting.
A couple days here is the season.
Yeah, it's gonna be on HBO Max, so I'm gonna be like tuning in on the confines of my couch. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. Obviously, we all made plans to see Spider-Man together because we're buddies, and I could not. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I was super worried about this. Is the third Spider-Man was the third Spider-Man 3 or X-Men 3 that we all saw together, and the first two did not go well.
It did not end well, no.
Not at all, man.
I'm always a little leery of us getting together en masse to go see a movie like this because more often than not, it hasn't really ended well for us. We've all kind of, you know, I remember a time, gentlemen, back when we were all in our early 20s where we rented a clubhouse at this luxury property. And we all fucking watched episodes 1 and 2 of Star Wars, fucking got in our cars, drove to the theater for the midnight showing of episode 3, had a fucking birthday cake for Darth Vader, because he was born in episode 3.
He was.
And then came back to watch episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I remember walking out of the theater being like, well, that was really good. But, you know, maybe it was really good because the previous 2 weren't as great. But yeah, we haven't really had a lot of success with the third of movies.
No, but the Matrix, though, we all get to watch from our home, and then sit in our kitchens and stare at our own reflections in sink water and try to work that movie out before we try to talk to each other about it. You know, which I'm excited about. Now which is interesting because it's what a weird, kind of ambiguous way to end the year. We had an original plan, and now we're going forward. But guys, we've crossed the 25 episode threshold. We're now going and we're working on episodes 25 to 50. If we were doing a WWE DVD release of an anthological thing, motherfuckers, we've crossed into set 2. Like we're on the next. This is the next era coming in. We're coming into a new year, so we've got all kind of great shit on the pipe going forward. Some stuff all of us want to do. We got some new music. We haven't done music in what seems like forever, so that's going to happen in January. We're going to have all kinds of interesting shit, and I'm going to go ahead right now to end this episode. A Christmas present to everybody.
Wait, real quick. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Are we not doing final thoughts?
Oh, we will.
Okay.
Oh, we will.
Sure.
But I'm hyping. Give me a minute.
What's happening? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm premature.
Yeah. A Christmas present that I want to give to everybody.
Think about Wolverine Origins, Jones.
Break it down.
Think about Wolverine Origins.
Even though
the first 2 minutes were the best parts of the whole movie, goddammit. It was awesome. Dude.
Like Sabretooth stole that damn movie. Okay, first of all, like, then everything else was just horse shit. But anyway, bringing it back for a second, I want to give everyone a Christmas gift that they don't even know they want it.
Is it a leg lamp?
No, but in a way, let me give you a small sidebar. A few years ago, my dad gave me a Bluetooth speaker for Christmas, which was weird, right? It's like, we're all audio guys, and he gave me a Bluetooth speaker. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But I've used it like literally every day since then, and it was the gift that I didn't know I needed. And now, there it is. There it is. And now I'm going to give you the gift that you don't even know you need. Single Peruvian, Puerto Rican, Australian, German listeners, Pennsylvanian listeners.
Has Ireland checked in recently?
Yeah, semi-recently.
Good.
Yeah, a lot of England, a lot of Canada, and a lot of Australia. So thank you to all, at least recently or formerly, British territories.
The Empire's alive and well, Jones.
I'm a straight
Empire's alive and well.
We, in this group of friends, there's very few things that are traditional. But one of the things that we like to do, roundabouts in January of every year,
oh my God,
is we do a thing.
No.
It is a thing.
They're not ready for it.
That's a real thing.
They're not ready for it.
They're going to experience it because, ladies and gentlemen, it is my sincerest honor to tell you that this January, we're going to play the Royal Rumble drinking game.
Oh, my God.
On the show.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. It's going to be real.
It is.
I think we need to enlighten our listeners what the Royal Rumble drinking game is.
Yes, and I will do it so briefly. It is a drinking game that we have played for God knows how long to the Royal Rumble match every year and to past ones occasionally.
Since our livers could handle it, Noah.
Yes, since we were legally allowed to buy it. And we have done so to the detriment of our lives, jobs, livers, and
several relationships.
Relationships. So, and guess what? We've decided what's the only thing worse than doing it in our late 30s. We're going to do it in our late 30s over the fucking internet. So
early 40s for some of us.
Yes, for some of us. You know, at least emotionally, we're all still like 19. So we're going to do that. So that's our Christmas gift to you, is that in January at some point, we're going to play the Royal Rumble drinking game. And here's the moment. This is a rare occasion for someone outside of this friend group. You're going to get to play too, dear listener, because we're going to tell you the rules. We're going to tell you the Rumble. We're going to do the first ever watch-along episode of Nothing Good, where we all watch it and we all drink at the same time, so that by the end of that episode, every single person in the world listening to this in unison is as fucking wasted as we are. You're welcome.
Welcome.
That's the
listen, ladies and gentlemen listening to this podcast, I am not fucking with you. I am not saying this to try to build this into something it's not. This is the absolute God's honest truth as I've ever said anything to any of you. If you are listening and this sounds like a great fucking idea to you, when that calendar flips to January, call that next fucking day off of work. Request it off right now. I am not shitting you. There have been bodies of people fucking thrown and laying all over my house that did not know and were not prepared as to what this was. They fucking dropped down to the ground, hammer drunk, because it is a power hour that you have never witnessed in your life.
And we're going to do it. And we're going to do it. Now, before we get
we're going to do it with you.
We're going to do it with you, sweet listener.
No,
yes.
It's a menage a trois of wrestling and drinking.
It's going to be... we've been talking about it for years. We're finally going to find a way to turn the Royal Rumble drinking game into a proverbial orgy. We've done it. It's an international buffet of fucking bad ideas.
Right.
It really is.
But final thoughts, guys, as we send it home. Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie? I feel like I've mathematically proven that it is. But emotionally, also, yes. Doc. Final thoughts on not just but final thoughts on Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard's final thoughts on the movie. It's a great classic 80s action film. Again, a little too long, honestly, in the third act, but it is what it is. It doesn't hurt it that bad, but it hurts it just enough for me. And again, I cannot help but reiterate yet again that if it weren't for the director admitting that the intent was to make it a Christmas film, I would not really consider it really much of a Christmas film. That information just makes it. That information. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. But with that being said, I stand behind my principles on this film. It's a terrible Christmas film, but it's an excellent action film.
Respect. Jafar.
Yeah, I think it's a classic 80s action flick, and it's a classic 80s action flick Christmas movie. So yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Watch it.
Mac Attack, take us home.
Noah, Booby. The only time I feel like that line has ever been uttered in cinema.
Yes. Booby.
Probably the last. You shouldn't use that on the regular.
He goes from Coke to Coca-Cola, everybody, right? Great movies throughout history, movies we love, movies you love, listeners of Nothing Good, are not one genre. When we look at Ghostbusters, one of the probably, as my opinion, one of the most original movies I've ever seen. It is a sci-fi adventure movie that is also a fucking monster buddy comedy, right? You look at Die Hard. Yeah, it's an action movie. Yeah, it's an 80s movie. But it's a fucking Christmas movie. It makes it better because it's more than just what you want it to be. It blends genres. It blends ideas. It blends thematic elements. And, you're allowed to disagree with us. You're fucking wrong, but you're allowed to disagree with us. But expand your mind a little bit. Remember, Christmas exists in LA too. It exists in Central City. It existed at Nakatomi Tower. And fucking wrap yourself in this sweet, sweet embrace of the season of holiday cheer that is motherfucking Die Hard.
Well put. Well put. Well, as always, please like our social media channels. Don't shake your fucking head. I've been watching.
Oh, I will. That's I just literally. I can't. It's ridiculous sounding.
If I may here, I like throwing out little elements here for social media, everybody. Listen, go to our Facebook, go to our Twitter, go to our Instagram. Once this episode drops, go check it out. We're going to be sharing with you that 20th Century Fox, when they released the Die Hard collection, released a fucking Christmas trailer of Die Hard. And it's inescapable, everybody. It's inescapable. And fucking enjoy that. That's our Christmas gift. That's my Christmas gift to you, everybody. The actual anniversary Christmas edition trailer released by 20th Century Fox, not by some fucking dude in his basement, not by one of us with extra time and editing software. The major motion picture studio that released the film created the Christmas trailer. Enjoy that. Have some eggnog. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
I think it would be wise that, besides the fact that I want to just flat out right now say that we have unanimously, even if it's begrudgingly in Jones' case, Doc, though, I love your grumpy face, dude. It's so good. It's like if I could put that in a cup and drink
don't entice me more, because I'll keep going. It
sustains me. No,
I wish you were drinking, Jones, because you would be much more.
You don't want to. No. I'm good.
But we have, even begrudgingly, I did not expect us to unanimously agree on this, but we did. We unanimously agreed that it is at least barely technically, because mathematically, I did tell you, it is barely technically a Christmas movie, right? But in addition to that, I just want to take a rare moment of seriousness and just want to say, hey, no matter who you are out there in the world, no matter what you do, from all of us here in Nothing Good, happy holidays. Please take care of yourself. Drive safe if you're going to party. Be responsible. If there's somebody in your life you haven't talked to in a while, hey, there ain't no better time than right now to reach out and say, I love you. I'm thinking of you. So take care of yous and yours. Anyone else want to give any last holiday thoughts? Anybody?
That sounds just like one of the themes of Die Hard, Noah. Holy shit.
Bobby, show them the watch.
On that
If you
note,
got
folks,
someone you love, show them
thanks
the watch.
for listening. Merry Christmas, and we will see you all next week.
Doc,
Yes.
tell the people happy holidays, please.
Oh, yeah. Take care of yourself and each other, all that good shit, and be safe. And we'll see you next time.
Okay,
You know-
Doc, will you tell the people that Die Hard's a Christmas movie one more time for me? Hold on, wait. Let me take my pants off. Hold on. Okay, go.
Sure. I will absolutely, according to the director of the film, it was meant to be a Christmas movie. Therefore, therefore, it doesn't matter what anybody says, including the four of us. You don't need math to prove it. If the director says it is, it fucking is. Whether it's a good one doesn't matter, because it's not. But it is what it is, man.
Technically, an erection is still an erection. From all of us here to you and yours, tell your mom we said, technically an erection. Happy holidays. Nothing good.